Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadi Tamastu Mad Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And we will share the screen here. Let's see where we are. April 5th. Very good. One second. Trying to move something here. Didn't want to move. There we go. And as usual, we're continuing with the Yoga Sutras. Last time we started chapter 2, Sadhana. And we're starting with verse 2 today, so this is a reminder of how verse 1 reads. Kriya Yoga consists of austerity, self-study, and devotion to Ishvara. So we're talking about Kriya Yoga. For anyone who wasn't here last time, Kriya Yoga, in this sense, has nothing to do with the popular pranayama called Kriya Yoga from the Babaji tradition. This is a meaning which is similar to the meaning in Saiva Siddhanta. Charyapada, Kriyapada, Yogapada, Yanapada. Very similar meaning to Kriya, devotional action. And there's 3 that he's pulled out. There are actually 3 of the 5 niyamas in his system. We have 10 in ours, which is more common. He only has 5. So for some reason, he's giving extra importance to these 3 practices. That's the idea here. So why are they important? We are about to find out. Verse 2. The purpose is to bring about samadhi and attenuate the kleshas. So attenuate means lessen. Kleshas are the binding influences, similar to anava, karma, and maya in Saiva Siddhanta. So this helps reduce those and also bring about samadhi. So that's pretty good. Patanjali is about to reveal the 5 obstacles to spiritual progress, which he calls the kleshas, the mental afflictions or existential poisons that are the root of suffering. Delusion and obstacles on the spiritual path, they must be diminished to free the yogi to go within. Negative qualities, says Gurudeva, are just congested masses of mind stuff that are temporary and do not allow the spirit to flow through. If you have negative qualities as boulders in your mind, the spirit cannot flow through you. But as it tries to flow, it will automatically set a part of your mind out of control, and you will be emotional. You can't help it. So you must purify yourself. Interesting cause of being emotional. So when the spirit intensifies, if these qualities are there, negative qualities, we get emotional. Additional thoughts. In chapter 1, Patanjali gave 8 methods for achieving samadhi, one of which is Ishvara Pranidhana, devotion to God. In verse 2 of this chapter, he has given just one method for bringing about samadhi and attenuating the kleshas, which is Kriya Yoga. And of the 3 practices of Kriya Yoga, Ishvara Pranidhana is one of them. Ishvara Pranidhana has now become a required rather than an optional practice. So this is the idea we've talked about before, is in many modern interpretations of the Yoga Sutras, they downplay Ishvara Pranidhana, devotion to the Supreme Lord. Becomes very generalized, like devotion to the God within you. That's one I read. Devotion to whatever concept of divinity you have in the universe. It's not what it says. Devotion to the personal Lord is a requirement. Or basically, we could say Patanjali is a theist. He's a strong believer in the importance of devotion to the personal God. You would think that Patanjali would start his chapter on practices with the first limb, which is the yamas, the ethical restraints. However, he starts with Kriya Yoga, 3 of the niyamas, the devotional observances. Placing them first shows he gives these 3 practices special importance. They're just not lost in a list of 10. Verse 3, we get to find out what the kleshas are. The kleshas are ignorance, I-amness, attraction, aversion, and clinging to life. These 5 obstacles can all be weakened and diminished by the practice of Kriya Yoga. It is a little known truth of yoga practice that seekers must consistently attend to these impediments if they are to achieve their spiritual goals. And Gurudeva adds, spiritual unfoldment is not a process of awakening the higher chakras, but of closing the chakras below the Muladhara. Once this happens, the aspirant's consciousness slowly expands into the higher chakras, which are always there. The only thing that keeps the lower chakras closed is regular sadhana, japa, worship, and working within oneself. So japa and worship are part of Kriya Yoga. Verse 4, get to find out what each one is in more depth here. Ignorance. This is avidya, opposite of vidya, which is spiritual knowledge. Ignorance is the breeding ground of the others, whether dormant, attenuated, intermittent, or activated. Commentary. Here Patanjali stresses that the first klesha, avidya, ignorance, is the field for the other kleshas. I-amness, attraction, aversion, and clinging to life. Commentators explain that the kleshas are dormant in a baby, attenuated, meaning lessened, by yogic practices, intermittent when one klesha temporarily overrides or inhibits another, or fully activated in those who make no effort to control them. Commentator Vyasa introduces a 5th state, that of the burnt klesha, Dagda Bija, fried by yana, such that they are no longer able to sprout. This becomes important in Patanjali's 4th chapter. It is understood that the kleshas are fully destroyed, not just incapacitated, only when the mind of the yogi dissolves back into prakriti at death. And, Gurudeva, a long quote. Each time you blame another person for what has happened to you, or cast blame in any way, tell yourself, this is my karma which I was born to face. I did not come into a physical body just to blame others for what has happened to me. I was not born to live in a state of ignorance created by an inability to face my karma. I came here to spiritually unfold, to accept the karmas of this and all my past lives, and to deal with them and handle them in a proper and a wonderful way. Humility is intelligence. Arrogance is ignorance. To accept one's karma and the responsibility for one's actions is strength. To blame another is weakness and foolishness. Let's begin by not advertising our ignorance. If you must blame what happens to you on your friend, your neighbor, your country, your community, or the world, don't advertise it by speaking about it. Keep that ignorance to yourself. Limit it to the realm of thought. Harness your speech and at the same time work to remold your thinking and restrain your subconscious to actually accept this basic premise of Saiva Siddhanta. Excuse me. The way I like to say that is, for everything that happens to you, you can only blame one person, and that's you. We're quite willing to take credit when things go well, but when things go poorly, we want to blame someone else. Human nature. So need to get rid of that tendency and say, when things go poorly, it's also my fault. I attracted it because of something I did in the past. Verse 5. I like this one. Ignorance is perceiving the non-eternal, impure, and sorrowful non-self as the eternal, pure, and joyful self. Here Patanjali starts a series of explorations on the 5 kleshas. He asserts that avidya, ignorance, is wrongful thinking and misapprehension, engendering an erroneous understanding of existence. The body, mind, and external phenomena, which are all part of prakriti, are impermanent and not the true self. Yet they are mistaken as eternal, pure, and pleasurable. Most people live in this state of nescience, unaware of the ways their mind is misinterpreting things. For Patanjali, the truth of existence can be known only when such false and limited perceptions are obliterated. It is intriguing to note that the word Atma appears in this sutra and the next as part of key philosophical discussions about ignorance and egoism. In the Sankhya and Yoga philosophies, the self is primarily referred to as Purusha, which emphasizes the witness or conscious aspect of the self. By contrast, Atma can convey a broader sense of selfhood or individual soul, potentially influenced by Vedantic terminology. Patanjali's use of Atma may reflect a subtle integration of other philosophical streams. It is also seen in his inclusion of Ishvara in the Yoga Sutras. This is a beautiful quote by Gurudeva. The dance of ignorance is not one of Lord Shiva's favorite dances, though it is definitely one of his dances. He does it with a smile and a sneer, mirth and a tear on his face. He actually has most of the world doing this dance now. Ignorance is equally distributed throughout the planet. The intrinsic ability to ignore consistently and persistently the eternal truths of the Sanatana Dharma is one of the great qualifications of the Anava Margi. Next verse. I amness stems from the apparent oneness of two powers, the seer and the seeing. So that's Gurudeva's idea of awareness identifies with consciousness. In this sutra, Patanjali observes that in order to avert immersion in the external ego identifications, asmita, one must distinguish between the Purusha and the powers of buddhi, the instrument of perception and knowing. It is wise to not identify with our perceptive faculties. And Gurudeva, as we begin working with ourselves, we remold the patterns that set the course of our life. We remold our subconscious mind. We begin to identify with infinite intelligence, not with the body or the emotions or the intellect. As we prepare for the realization of the self in this life, we set new energies into action within our body. We begin to flow our awareness out of the past and into the present, right into the now. This steadies emotion. Then we cease to have concepts that the physical body or the emotional body is I. We begin to claim spiritual independence and are able to watch the mind think. So that's a very important part of Shumif perspective. From the Shumif perspective, we don't say, I am hungry. We say, my body is hungry. It has nothing to do with I. I is witnessing it all. But I doesn't have hunger. The body has hunger. Verse 7. Attraction arises from pleasure. The power of attraction, raga, with its desire for experiences that bring happiness, is a powerful force driving the mind and determining its movements and decisions. Absolutely. For the common man, it is a natural pattern, while for the yogi, it is a principle to be understood and overcome. What stops you from flowing with cosmic forces and becoming one with life's ocean of eternal bliss? Is it not attachment that keeps us clinging to the bank of the river? Is it not fear that we are attached to? All of the personalities we know and the various material objects we are clinging to keep us holding tightly to the banks of life's cosmic river. The river still flows on, but we do not flow with it. We are fighting against life's currents when we allow ourselves to become attached. This is next one's from cognizant ability, very profound one. The conscious mind throws into its subconscious a series of erroneous thoughts based upon a false concept. This creates a deep-rooted desire or complex. Single out the seed of desire by disregarding all other corresponding erroneous thoughts. Then destroy that seed through understanding its relation in itself and to all other corresponding thoughts. The deep-rooted desire complex will then vanish. So this is the idea that you see 3 or 4 commercials about a Mercedes-Benz, some on television, some in print media, some on billboards. And the people driving the Mercedes-Benz look so happy. And you want to be happy, and you're not that happy right now. So you get in your mind that If I own a Mercedes Benz, I'll be happy. So that becomes a strong desire, but you don't know where it came from. So that desire can be ferreted out and eliminated. Verse 8. Interesting. Aversion arises from pain. Well, normally when we think of attachment, we think of attraction. But aversion is possibly even a more powerful one. Dvesha, aversion, is as potent a negative force as raga, attraction. It is an attracting force. For the serious yogi, both are to be cognized and overcome. Experiences of pain and suffering live on in the mind's memory vault, compelling actions and reactions until they are resolved through sadhana and grace. And Gurudeva's beautiful quote, all movement is Shiva's dance. When we fight this movement and think it should be other than it is, we are reluctantly dancing with Shiva. We are stubbornly resisting, holding ourselves apart, criticizing the natural processes of movements around us. It is by understanding the eternal truths that we bring all areas of our mind into the knowledge of how to accept the experiences that are happening in life. Then we get the last one. The will to live is a deep-seated instinct present even in sages. Abhinivesha, whether defined as the dread of death or clinging to life, is found in all creatures. From an earthworm to a human child, it is an instinct that protects the preciousness called life. A marvelous and mystical creation of God Shiva, but still it has to be overcome. One great peculiarity about man is that he individually feels that he is never going to die and goes on through life planning and building as though he were going to live forever and ever. Fear of death is a natural instinctive reflex. We encounter it sometimes daily, once a month, or at least once a year when we come face to face with the possibility of obliteration of our personality and of leaving the conscious mind. The fear of change or fear of the unknown is an ominous element in the destiny of a human being. The study and comprehension of the laws of reincarnation can alleviate this fear and bring an enlightened vision of the cosmic rhythms of life and death. It is a simple process, no more fantastic, shall we say, than other growth problems we experience daily. So I think we'll stop here. That's a little bit dense material. Thank you very much. Oh.